All right, Bannock County Commissioners are now in session. Kyle?
Where's the gavel? Where's the gavel?
All right. We do not have indigent business, so we'll go ahead and go to Sheriff. You're up.
Don't get comfortable back there, Tony.
Come on up.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. Tony Manu, Bannock County Sheriff.
Andy Iverson, Bannock County Sheriff. I'm not the sheriff, but.
So we're here to talk about getting rid of some vehicles via selling them through Bannock. They're all patrol vehicles, so they're all.
There's 3 patrol cars and 1 detective cars. And we went through Gage last time. It's called Gage. Really, Bannock was a middleman, and I talked to Gage, and they said that they could, I could just deal with them directly instead of. We had to send titles off to Bannock and then signatures. It was a lot of work. Where this will streamline it, we won't have a middleman to deal with, and we can go straight with them. As far as the vehicles go, there's 3 marked patrol cars with equipment in them and 1 unmarked with equipment, except radios and the speakers to the cars. Now, I talked to Christy about this. The reason we go through Gage is if we strip those cars and go through prime time, those cars aren't going to be worth what we're going to get out of them. Now, I can't guarantee that we're going to get, like on the last one, we got $6,000 for that specific, for the patrol car the 1 patrol car we had. And that was, because this is it's not really an auction, it's a specialized, they look for people that are looking for those specific type of vehicles, like security and stuff like that. Otherwise we have to strip them down, and then they go over as just white Durangos.
So we get more money if we go through Gage,
Okay.
if they have equipment.
Buddy, I want you to come up here too. And I want Buddy involved in all this stuff because he's in charge of all vehicles at this time, and so I want him to.
He's in this loop
Okay.
before we even got to this point.
Okay. That's what I wanted to make sure.
Yep.
But he's sitting right here, so.
Yep.
We'll have him.
Jason Murdoch, and I talked to Buddy about it, but we had Jason Murdoch look at each one of the vehicles to see if they needed, if we were to reallocate them, and what would there be any issues with those cars if we did reallocate. I don't know if you have a copy of what I sent over, but Jason sent me an email talking about each one of the cars and what they would need if we kept them in the fleet.
Okay.
Now, just so you know that the Durangos for a long time have been the cars that we've tried to get out from under because of all the mechanical problems.
Yeah.
We still have a few in the fleet, and I'm talking the fleet, the overall fleet, not the sheriff's office, but we still have a few that are running today that aren't bad cars. But the patrol cars, we did have some issues in the past where we were constantly repairing those.
Does this clean out the Durangos from your fleet, or do you have a couple left still?
We have 1 left that we use as a training car, but as far as day-to-day operation, this will completely get us out of Durangos. Even our civil deputies, because we moved some of the Tahoes that we had from down to our civil deputies, and then so this would, and that's what we're getting rid of is 2 civil cars, and then an old K9 car that we used. A marked K9 car, and then a detective K9 car that we used, but it would get us out of there, yes.
What's the mileage on these? Are they high mileage because they were patrol cars?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, and this is for this discussion and the next one, Brian, the methodology that we're using. It is an auction, but it is an auction.
Well,
I mean,
what it is,
it's not a trade-in, so are we legally able to go this route?
Well, if it's county property and it's over $250, it should be offered to the public first. So we're talking about like an auction, but you're saying just to specific people?
No, it's
an
specific, it's an auction, but it's to specific clientele. It isn't someone they're looking for these type of vehicles with this type of equipment in it. It isn't like you're gonna take it down to prime time. Because if you take it down to prime time, we're gonna have to strip every one of those cars out.
Yeah.
And then that devalues the car as far as what we get out of it.
Right.
It's not a public use car with what's in it now.
Oh,
So it's an auction, but an
Special-
auction.
it's a special-
yeah.
it's a
It's a
Specialty
specialty auction.
So it should still fall under the statute, right?
Yeah, I have the statute pulled up right now. I mean, all it says is for sale at public auction, right? It doesn't really define that. So that's something I could look into a little bit more. I mean, that'd be the key is like, what's the public, right? And so that's the only thing I would want to look into before we go that route. Because if we're just saying it's a public auction, but only for certain people in the public, right? I want to make sure that we're good that way.
Andy, can you get information on who they provide that to and then get that to Brian? And then that way Brian will have the background of if it complies.
So my question is, unless this kind of comes up on Buddy's next, is if we're dealing with another government entity, how does that play into this?
If we're like selling property to another governmental entity, I know there's exceptions there. I'll have to review it to refresh my memory and
Okay.
go back to the commission.
Because, I mean, that's our next thing on the agenda, and I thought that they kind of just flowed together a little bit, just to make sure that we're following the process that we have to.
So what I would move, Mr. Chair, is that we approve the sale of this pending legal's authorization, so you don't have to come back. If Brian says it's okay, then you can go forward with it.
Okay.
If it doesn't fit the criteria, then I will get with Buddy and we'll strip them down and have them go to prime time. Because that's the only other avenue that we can go. So,
Yeah.
We have looked them over, and that's our advice, is definitely to get rid of them and try to get out from underneath them, everything goes.
Okay, and that's good to hear. All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, good luck.
Okay,
Okay.
Brian, give us a good answer.
you're next.
Brian, I'll get to you this afternoon.
Okay.
Buddy Romrell, Public Works Assistant Director. Today I was just trying to get approval for the sale of our crash drone that we had and all the spare parts that we had to go with it, and that included the batteries and the chargers and any other spare parts that went along with it. Kind of how, after talking with Matthew, the sale would kind of just be for those spare parts. The drone would just be a gift. There's some salvageable parts, but there's no way to really rebuild it and reuse it, so.
And he brought me in because we had filed an ICRIMP claim on this, and we just had to get approval from ICRIMP that they were okay with us doing a salvage sale. And they said they were because they were interested in selling the salvage parts themselves. So we got approval from ICRIMP, so he's good to go from that perspective.
Okay,
So I had met with Franklin. I was pretty excited that they had the same drone just because we had spent all that money on the batteries and didn't want it to be a complete waste. So, I mean, it's at least paying for one set with the $1,600 that they're willing to pay, so.
And if approved, this would be a sale of county property, so the money would go to the general fund. Statutorily, it has to.
Okay.
what about the cars?
They'll go to the general fund as well.
Same rules?
Unless it's asset forfeiture, yes.
Okay. All right,
So we'll probably make the same motion. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the sale of this pending approval from legal on that.
we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, Daniel.
Morning.
Good morning.
Dan Kendall, Facilities Director. I just brought you guys a contract for our web control system. So the gas to generator building, they half the bill with me. They use it up there, and then I use it for the addition to the courthouse runs off of that. So it enables us to, from our desktop, control and see what the issues are with the HVAC system. In the years past, they haven't sent a contract. I don't know why we got one this year. We just, years past, we just get a bill. But this year we got a contract, so I thought you guys want to see it. But it includes the software, and it also includes a visit from their rep. Comes and kind of tunes up everything and upgrades the software if there is a upgrade available. He spends half the day here and half the day up at the landfill.
So has it increased in price?
I think it has just a little, not much. They did offer a multiple year contract, but I didn't bring that.
Okay.
Figured you didn't want to see that one. But.
No concerns on your behalf?
No, I think that kind of, I think you're kind of stuck with it. I mean, it's not, there's not another option for this web control system, so unfortunately.
Okay. So this covers, excuse me, this covers the gas to up at the landfill and here?
Yeah, so Chris up there can watch his HVAC controls from his phone or desktop as well.
Okay.
It was kind of good of them to kind of let us do that, do half and half rather than pay the whole bill here and another bill up there.
Brian, did you see the account manager on this contract?
I don't, was that sent to me?
It's in the packet.
On the packet? Oh, I haven't gone through the packet.
You should look at it.
On that one?
Yeah, you should look at it.
On what was it?
The Climate Tech.
The climate.
All right, Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the Climate Tech agreement as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. All right, looks like Shanda.
Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer. I have 2 items before the board today. The first one is a potential signature on a contract with Direct Communications. This is for the Exhibit Hall project in Downey. It did not go out to bid. It was not required to, but I would recommend, this is the same ARPA document that we have had for the rest of the contractors, and I would recommend the board sign the contract with Direct Communications for $12,000.
Any questions?
No, Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the contract with Direct Communications as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 The second item I have before the board is a potential signature on a contract with Razor Electric for $2,000. This is for the deputies. This is for the deputy stations out at the detention center, an upgrade out there. Again, it was not required to go out to bid, but we would like it under contract for ARPA funding, and I would recommend that the board sign the contract with Razor Electric for $2,000.
Just a quick question on this, Shanda. We've done a lot of work with Razor, and I have no issue with that. Are we getting there a threshold where we have to be careful with them, or does it matter because we bid out all these projects?
Right, the pieces that we've bid out, right, those are separate and from everything, but this is an area where we have talked about countywide that we need to look at potentially grouping up electricians and having an approved batch of them that then departments could pull from them at will, because any given project like this one, $2,000 is short, tiny, but then if we have a $15,000 right up at the event center, and then we have a $20,000 down at Downey or something, right, then they can add up quickly. So this is an area that we're looking at doing a pool like engineers.
Okay.
So this is something that we're watching and monitoring, but all of those different contracts that they have won this year in particular, aside from this one, have all been bid out.
Right, so I wasn't worried about that. I was just worried about the cumulative effect of
Right.
everything. So,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So we are watching and looking at making a pool of electricians, so then departments can just pull, get a contractor from there as projects come up.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the contract with Razor Electric as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
I got it this time.
Account manager?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
All right, planning and development.
Hal Jensen, Planning Director.
Tristan Borquin, Assistant Planning Director.
We have before you 2 contracts for doing inspections for building activities in City of Downey and City of Aramo. We brought one of the contracts before commission a couple of weeks ago and were asked to make a couple of changes. So you can see in both contracts, numbers 8 and 9 have been amended to have an effective date as well as an end date of 1 year with the ability to have an automatic renewal annually. And then number 9 has more specifications for a notice of termination from either party instead of mutual termination, and having a notice of termination being delivered within 30 days.
Questions?
No, I'm excited to do this. I think it's good for everybody. So, Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the contracts for Downey and who else we have here? Aramo, as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 That puts all small cities except for Lava.
And Lava's using Soda, or Caribou County?
They contract with the building official at Caribou County, yes.
And will that change your workload that much?
No.
And how many of you in the office can now do inspections? 4 of you? 3.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like, Matthew, you're up.
Matthew Phillips, HR Director. What I have before you is asking for approval to sign a DocuSign contract to have an add-on module to our applicant tracking system. The add-on module would be for onboarding. This system is hosted by Applicant Pro. Right now, currently, and this is kind of the process I inherited, is we're having new hires come into orientation and they're spending, depending on how big a group, half hour to an hour filling out paperwork. We're not really required to pay them for that. And a lot of them honestly would probably rather do it at home with a spouse or significant other because they'd rather talk about what benefits they want. Whereas now we're bringing them in, watching them do it, trying to track it down 7 days later. And it's just leading to paying people to do things that we don't need to pay them to do. It's leading them to not have as good of applicant experience because they're having to fill their name, address, phone number in paper forms over and over and over again. Whereas if we just send out a link, they can fill that in once and it'll fill in all their forms for them. So we think it'll make us and the applicants much more efficient. I included just a return on investment in wages or efficiency between the less time we have to pay them or the less time that HR payroll managers have to chase them down for paperwork. So we think this module will essentially pay for itself, just in efficiency. I included a price quote. They're going to give us, if we sign before the end of the year, they'll give us an end of year promo for 10% off the first year price. There's also included just a sample of what their DocuSign contract looks like. I think I've sent it to Brian. I don't know if I've heard any concerns from you per se, and it's similar to the document we would have signed with them previously. What else was I going to say? Oh, and we should also be able to gain some ability to customize more according to some departments that have specialized hiring processes. So, for example, we've talked with juvenile quite a bit. They deal with volunteers and interns. We might be able to send them out a different packet once we get it configured. We've talked to law enforcement. There might be some possibilities there to send out their unique forms. So basically, we would create different workflows to be able to customize our hiring, our onboarding experience for different departments in the county. I've run this past procurement. They said where it was such a small amount and where it's an add-on service, they didn't think it needed to go to competitive bid. So yeah, any questions for me?
I do. I've got a couple.
Sure.
If we had our own subscription to DocuSign, would we be able to use that in this as like a plug-in, or is it kind of built into what they have?
it's built in specifically to interface with what they have. So right now, people already create a username within Applicant Pro to submit their application. If they were chosen to be hired, this would just have them use that same username to go in and start to fill out all their new hire forms. So so after the interview, if they're the one that's chosen, all we'd have to do is send that same person, that same username, a link without having to interface with another program. That's why, again, I didn't think competitive bid was appropriate, because we're trying to also get interfacing gains, because this, even though the ATS module wasn't able to interface well with Tyler, from what we've heard, this module will be able to at least import into Tyler. So we're also trying to build some interfacing gains by just keeping it to Applicant Pro and trying to build an interface with Tyler by using this module.
The reason I asked that question, I've been talking to Adam about potentially using DocuSign for the county as a whole, and we couldn't really come up with enough uses to justify it for the county as a whole. And so I was just curious if you knew that, if you could maybe, if we had our own, if it could attach or not.
You know, and I don't know if I know enough about DocuSign's capabilities to expertly comment on that. In some ways, I think this would be easier because this is what this module is specifically built for. A lot of forms they already have pre-built, but they can also upload your customized forms, like your benefit forms. What DocuSign can or cannot do, I don't know in that regard.
Okay. Is this just a one-year agreement for this?
It is, and it has a 30-day out, so if we ever say, hey, we don't know if this is, the justified cost. And I would comment that Applicant Pro offers several other add-on modules. I don't think all of them are necessarily value added to us. Some things we can do cheaper internally with our own processes. But this one, I do think we can really make some efficiency gains in what HR is doing, how we interface with payroll and accounting, and how we support the hiring departments in general. So,
well, anything that moves us into the 21st century, I'm all for. So
yeah, and that's I think a lot of candidates, applicants at other places are kind of used to that. This is becoming more widespread to be used in hiring systems.
Okay.
So we've been very paper-based, I think, for a long time.
Okay, I'm good, Mr. Chair.
So we have our choice between a monthly fee or an annual fee.
Yes, I was going to set it up to do a monthly fee just to, because right now we're already invoiced monthly for the applicant tracking module. I just thought we'd add this on as another monthly fee, unless Christie wants me to handle it differently. So,
well, I was just looking at the holiday rate. I mean, you're going to get $52 as a discount, or you're going to get
right.
$623.
Well, it's $52 per month, or the
Is it per month?
Yes,
Okay,
or
I didn't know if that was a one-time deal.
No,
because the other is the 10%.
They're both, yeah, this is just the 10% on a monthly basis versus an annual basis. So they'll take the 52 off per month.
Per month, okay.
For this first year.
That's what I was looking at, if it's just,
Yeah. So either way we choose to be billed, they'll still give, as long as we get it signed by the end of the year, they'll give us that promo rate for this first year.
And then the other deal is, financially, where's this coming out of? Just
His budget, we budgeted for this within the budget process,
Okay.
hoping to be able to automate, and he did a great job of guessing.
I was within a couple $100, so,
Yeah.
but bottom line, we should be okay to adjust to it, so.
I'm okay if we do the year thing, if it makes it easier.
The only problem with the year thing is budgetarily, he's already paid 2 months.
Okay, so.
And so if we were to pay for it once a year now, if he did that next year, that'd be fine, but if we paid a full year now,
We'd be
it would put him over
overlapping
by the
years.
2 to 3 months,
Yeah, okay.
so.
All right, Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the contract with Applicant Pro with the monthly payment as discussed.
You have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And this is going to be electronic signature.
Yeah, so I'm asking for your authorization for me to sign the DocuSign, if that's
All right,
okay.
so let me amend that then and authorize HR's electronic signature on this.
We have an amendment to our motion, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners.
That probably wasn't the correct way to do that. You can do that.
Nancy.
Commissioners, we just have been awarded the JAG grant for the sheriff in the city of Pocatello, the grant that they share for equipment. So we just need approval to accept the grant, and acceptance will be online by Commissioner Moser.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve or accept the JAG grant as presented and authorize chairman's signature electronically.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Looks like, let's go ahead and go through resolutions and stuff, and then we'll come back to the executive. So first on resolutions, we have resolution 2024-76, which is approving November 2024 salaries. We also have resolution 2024-77, which is approving November 2024 alcohol licenses.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the resolutions as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Then we have, under signature only, the hold harmless agreement with Bonner Morrison. Any questions about it?
Kyle, you want to come up for just a second? Kyle Burmester, Public Works Director. I don't necessarily have any questions. I just want to make sure you're good with it. You're comfortable where we're at?
Yes, yes, we, working with legal and stuff, we got the corrections needed that we both felt good about, so I think we're moving in a good direction.
Okay, and I heard from Bonner earlier this week, and he was comfortable, I think, as well, so.
He assigned it.
Okay, well then, he was there. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you were good with where we're at. So, Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the hold harmless agreement as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thanks, Kyle.
All right, next in the consent agenda, we have salary rate approval forms and commissioner minutes meeting certification for November 21st, November 26th, and December 6th and 10th.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's go ahead and go into executive session.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we enter into executive session under Idaho Code 74-2061 A and B.
Kenny, you can stay.